Alright guys, so this is the video several people have been kind of waiting on. This right here, including my carabiner, everything I need right here. This is my entire tether line. I've saddle hunted with this all year this year, zero issues. This one is actually a 3/16 inch Amsteel. The one we're going to make today is going to be a little bit bigger, but it's still going to be significantly smaller than your normal standard rope tether. It's a lot lighter, and I don't know about the strength. I know it's, I don't know if I'd say it was stronger, but I do know. So if you get online and look these up, this is a letter U creative, all one word, synthetic winch line from Amazon. They're $18.99. This one's 50 foot by 1/4 inch. If you look on the information that they give, they say that this is supposed to have a 10,000 pound brake strength. Like I said before, I don't know for sure if that's 100% because it is an off brand, but I do know if you look up the other brand winch lines, the higher end brand winch lines and stuff, the ones that are 1/4 inch Amsteel like this, synthetic winch lines, those are, they're saying like 8,500 most of them. So I mean, you can, it's kind of a judgment call. I'm not telling you guys to go do this. I'm not telling you not to. If you do it right, it is completely safe. Like I said, I weigh 170, 180, something like that. I haven't been on a scale in a long time. I'm just guessing. Somewhere around in there. And I've hunted with this 3/16 one all season with zero problems. So we're going to get at it. In the interest of saving a little time, I've already took this one out of the bag just a minute ago, and I cut off 18 feet. Now we are going to attempt to make an 8-foot finished product. It's going to be 8-foot winch line, all finished up. So I cut 18 feet off. That may be a little more than I need. If it is, I'll show you how to remedy that at the end. It's not a big deal at all. I just didn't want to not have enough, because by the time you add your splice in here for your eye, and then you bury the whole thing, when you bury it, when you do a full bury, it draws it up and shortens it. So I didn't want to come up short. So I'm holding the two ends down here. We're just going to find the center of the rope by pulling both of these ends through your hand together until we get to the other end down here, right here. So that's where we're going to create our loop at. Now you're going to want probably a, I don't know, 4-6 inch eye, something like that on the end of this. I'm not measuring it. I'm not going to fool with the tape measure. I got one, I just don't use it. We're going to eyeball it. That's going to be big. That's going to be plenty big enough to fit your carabiner and your prussic knot and stuff through when you're girth hitching it to the tree. So we found our center. We found where our loop's going to be. We're going to take our homemade fit here, our arrow shaft, standard diameter arrow shaft. We've already established this will not fit in it until you taper it down. So don't worry. But we're going to take right here where we're going to make the loop, we're going to do a lock brummel. So we're going to fluff up right here, and I'm going to poke this straight through center, just like that. And I'm going to make this hole a little bigger than what it is with this arrow shaft, because I can't fit this into the end of the arrow shaft. And I know not everybody has these little plastic fids like I got. I ordered these on Amazon. They're good for stuff like this, for doing the brummel splice or whatever, for making your holes bigger and for feeding your line through. But not everybody's going to have that. Everybody's probably got an arrow shaft. This is a really smooth fill point we're going to use on it, so that it doesn't catch anything on the inside. That's super important. You don't want anything that's going to catch any of these fibers inside, because if you do, it's going to make this twice as hard. So we've made our first little loop here, our first little splice. I'm going to come down, that's on this side of the loop. I'm going to come down to the end of this, find the end of it, pull it through, find the end right here, and we're going to feed it through that hole that we just made. Okay, and we're just going to pull it all out. till you get your eye the size that you want. Let's see here. What's going on? Pulled it the wrong way. Okay. Pull our eye down to the size we want. That looks about right. Okay. Then the line that you just passed through that hole, which is going to be our tag end, we're going to fluff that end up. So we fluffed this line up first, pass the other end through it, and we're going to fluff up the end that we just passed through the hole right behind where you just created that little splice. We're going to fluff it up there. Fluff it up like this. Same thing. Pass your arrow or fit or whatever you got, you know, through the center. And then we're going to make it big enough for the line to go through. Crap. Okay, there we go. I tried to set everything out ahead of time that I'm gonna need for this to make this go a little smoother, so we'll hope for the best here. Okay, so then we're gonna take the other end, we're gonna call it the main line here. We're going to pass it through that hole. Now this came factory. When you get them from out of the pack, they come with the end taped up like this. I didn't do that. It was just already done that way, and we're just going to leave it that way till we're finished here. We're going to pass that in through here, pull all the slack out, and that is going to create a locked Brummel. So you're going to keep your thumb in the eye up here and hold the end that you just passed through, and you're gonna pull it tight. That's your splice right there. It's gonna make your locked Brummel. It's gonna make this loop permanent. It's not gonna go anywhere. Okay, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bury this entire end inside the rest of this line all the way to the bottom, so that you've got a full bury start to finish. Okay, and the way you're going to do that, so when you got this lock Brummel here, we've got our lock Brummel, we got it tight and seated so that it's not going anywhere. You can see that this line naturally comes down this way. Okay, your tag end, that's your tag end. It naturally comes down like this. So we're going to pull it up out of the way. We're going to fluff the line up, and we're going to feed our homemade fit here all the way down through the center as far as we can. So let's fluff it up. That's going to start the bury right there. And you want to do this as tight to this lock Brummel as you can. So start here. Start feeding this in just like this. And if you'll just go slow, this will just feed right up on this arrow shaft. Just don't get in a hurry. You get in a hurry and you'll end up popping it out of the line and having to pull it back and restart it again. But like I said, if you'll just keep slowly going, this arrow shaft feeds right up to the center of this. All it is a hollow core, like braided rope, more or less. So we're just going to keep feeding this onto the arrow shaft. I think probably 2 passes with this arrow feed that we've got here, and you'll have the whole thing buried. See, I screwed up and I got too fast and I popped it out. So I'm going to have to pull it back down into the rope a little. And there we go. Refill it. You just want to keep it in the center of this rope. Okay. And see, we're gonna scrunch this up so we can keep on feeding more on it. Said I know this is a longer video, guys, but there's literally no way around it. I mean, it's just how it is. If you want to learn how to make this, I'm not super fast at it. I don't know, honestly, of any other videos on YouTube. That was another reason I wanted to get this out there. I don't know of any other video on YouTube. I've looked, because I looked when I got ready to make me one. There's no videos that I can find showing you how to make this. This is it, so bear with me. So I got a bunch of it fed on here. Okay, what we're gonna do now is we've got to taper this other line down, the line that we're gonna bury inside here. We've got to taper it down so that it fits inside this arrow shaft, and it's a critical part of the berry. So we're going to take this tape off that they put on here. They've melted the end, it looks like, and pinched it together, so that's going to make this fun. Anyways, we're going to take the line we're going to bury. We're going to pull 5 strands out altogether, okay? Where? I got a long set of tweezers here somewhere. I said I had everything. I lied. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I got my handy dandy long tweezers here. You don't have to have these. It just makes it easier for me. That's why I use them. So we're gonna pull 2 strands out at the top here. I'll show you guys this. I get my camera set up right. Okay, so we're gonna come right here at the top where we're gonna bury. We're gonna pull 2 individual strands. So we're gonna pull 1 here. And once you get it started, I just use those tweezers to kind of get a hold of it. Once you get it started, you're gonna pull 1 single strand out of here. Just work it out of the rope. Just gonna keep pulling. It'll take you a minute. See, I screwed up. I wasn't paying attention here, and I let the back end of my arrow shaft actually pull out, so I'm having to refeed it through the main line real quick. I said I'm not a pro at this either, but it's not a big deal. I just feed it right back on our arrow here, pop it right back out where it was. Let me see if I can grab some electrical tape. What we're gonna do to keep this from popping off, because I've got so much fed onto this arrow shaft and it's bunched up, it's gonna want to pop off the arrow on me while I'm trying to pull my strands out over here. So we're gonna take this end here, and I'm just gonna wrap a little electrical tape around the arrow shaft and the line so that it won't pop off while I'm doing this other part. There we go. And we'll come down here to the end where it feeds out of the rope. the fill point in and do the same thing. Just gonna wrap a little electrical tape around it for now, tape the line to it, and that'll keep it from popping out while I'm working these splices, while I'm working the splice. So just want to keep working this single strand out. Like I said, we got to pull 5 all together, so this is a little tedious, but you got to do it. Okay. Just keep working this strand. Just gonna pull them out just like that. Okay, we got that strand out. Then you're just gonna take your line, work it back down to the end here. Okay. Come back up here at the top where we just pulled that first strand. We're going to pull a second strand. So you got 2 at the top, we'll do 2 in the middle, and 1 at the very end. The cool thing about this project is it doesn't matter, like I'm showing you how to make the tether line, right? But it doesn't matter if you're doing the tether line or you're trying to do like the USA Pro, the stand stick or stand attachment. This is the same principle. It's the exact same thing as the tether line. The only difference is it's got an extra prussic. It's got an extra prussic on the stand or stick attachment if you do it the way I did it. If you just do like a rope mod kind of deal, then it won't. Okay, so there's 2 strands out at the top. Okay, and we're gonna save these after we cut them, and I'll show you why here at the end of the video. It's just something else extra that I do to mine that seems like it comes in handy. I like it. So we're gonna come down about to the middle, find the middle of this rope, and the way I do that is I just put the end up here at the splice and just work it down until I find the center here. So about in the middle of it, we're going to pull 2 more strands. I said I wish there was a way to shorten this video up. This is going to be one of those videos not everybody's going to watch all the way through. If you need to pause this at any time, you know, pause it, do what you got to do, come back, restart it. So we're going to pull out that was our 3rd strand. We're going to pull our 4th one out. This is just going to be one of those things where it's only going to interest certain people. Not everybody's going to be interested in this. Not everybody's going to be able to do this. Some people are just not handy. Some people, you know, are not DIY people. And that's okay. And you can, in that case, if you want one of these, you can always buy one online from somebody that sells them. Not me. I don't sell them. When you do make this, guys, practice it at ground level. Don't go straight 20 feet up in a tree and then try to practice it. So we got 2 at the top, 2 in the middle. We're going to come down here, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches from the bottom on this, and we're going to pull 1 more single strand out of the end, and that'll give us our taper. And so what we'll do is come through, get you a good sharp pair of scissors, and just cut the single strand right off. Remember, save these. You'll see why at the end. Okay, so we'll come up here where we got the next 2. Cut both of those. Make sure you're just cutting the 2 that you pulled out, and you're not cutting the actual rope, the main line or anything. Okay, we're gonna milk all this down again. Come up here to where we got the first 2. We're gonna cut those off. Okay, remember, save all this. Very important. Alright, so now that we've got all those cut off, we're going to take this line and smooth it all back out, because we need it as small and streamlined as you can get it, because we're going to be trying to fit it in the end of this arrow shaft, which is not always fun. Okay. So now we're going to take this tape off that I just put on here. I may regret this, but there it goes. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And take the tape off. We've got the open end of our arrow shaft exposed to where the knock used to be, the knock end. And we're going to feed the end of this, the tag end of this rope down into this arrow shaft, okay? Feed as much of it in there as you can get, because it's gonna make this whole process easier. And the way we're doing this, we should only actually have to do this twice, this time and one more time, and that should have the whole length of this buried for us, I think, on an 8-foot tether line. Okay, for some reason that's about as much as I can get to go in there. Oh wait, there it goes, still going. Okay, I got that much in anyway. And then you're going to want to find something. I used a Q-tip in another video, but you're going to want to find something that you can stick down in the end of this arrow shaft. Some people call them like a push rod or something, and you'll see why in a second. I'm going to use these tweezers just because I have them. I'm going to shove them down in the end of there really tight. Okay. Hopefully that's going to get us through here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the tape off of this end. I got to find it on the end of it. We're going to take the tape off of this end of the arrow shaft where I taped it down. So guys, I know this is a longer video and I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Okay, so once you get the tape off of both ends, you're just going to feed it up the line. Until it pulls out. Pull my tweezers out here. And I'm just going to pull all my line through here. Okay, I got it tangled up. So we're just gonna, see, here's our splice that we had. We're just gonna keep pulling it down inside itself until it disappears inside this main line, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here right where we pulled that out, and we're gonna feed our arrow shaft the fill tip in first, back down into the center of this rope, and we're going to feed it. This is a little tricky getting this started, but you're going to, just like before, feed it straight down the center of the rope. This time we should be able to go all the way to the end with this move, but we're going to keep feeding it all the way down through the center. Okay, hold on. Really pay attention to that tip and make sure that you don't get it popping out anywhere. Make sure to keep it in the center of that rope. That's why it's always best to go slow. Slow is better on this, guys. Trust me. You want this right. Slowly, just still working it down over this tip. I'm trying to keep all this on camera here. I believe we're gonna get away with this. Get this entire rope, possibly, in 2 moves. That's the goal here. It's my goal anyway. Dadgummit. Boom. Okay. When we get to this end, we're going to take our tape again and tape it up on the end of this arrow shaft so that they don't pull out. Okay. I've already got it tapered, but I've got so much like squeezed down onto this arrow shaft. I don't want it to pop back inside itself. That's the reason for the tape. Now we're going to take this end again, just like we did before, squeeze it down as tight as we can get it, and start feeding it the tapered end inside of the shaft of this arrow, all the way as much as you can get. I don't know how much that'll be. Just get as much as you can. And it looks like it's gonna be about it right there. Okay. We're gonna take my tweezers, my handy dandy tweezers here, shove them down in here. This is gonna be my push rod. Now we're going to untape this end and start the whole berry process again. Like I said, it's not a big deal if you need to do more than 2 moves on this. I'm just trying to do it in 2. If you need to do it, you know, do more than 2 moves to get all this buried, that's fine. I'm just trying to do 2 to get it for time's sake on this video. That is all. Okay, so I got the whole thing buried now, start to finish. Now we're going to take this in because it's all bunched up on here. We're going to start here at the loop at the lock Brummel, and we're just going to milk it down, and that's going to close the line tight around itself. Pull the whole thing through. This is significantly bigger around than that 3/16 for the full berry that I've been using all season. This should be a whole lot stronger than the one I've been using. And like I said, the one I've been using, I weigh close to 180, it's 170, 180, something like that. And I have had 0 issues with this. Okay, so you can see we've still got, with 18 feet total line length when we started, we put the lock in the end. By the time I did all this and it drew up on me, because it will draw up as you do the full berry, when you milk it all down, it shortened this one line up about 6 or 7 inches. So we got that much hanging out. That's fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our line, because like I said, we got our lock Brummel in here. Perfect. Got the full berry, start to finish. This is slick. We're going to tie a stopper knot in the end of this rope. So you're going to come up above where it comes out of the line. We're going to go around your hands once, twice, and then we're going to pull it through the center. Let me show you this so I can show you this better. So you're going to go around your hands once, twice, and then you're going to come around to the back side over here and poke this through those holes right there. We're going to pull it through. It's like a double something or hand knot. So maybe, I don't know. I don't remember what kind of knot it's called. I'm not a Boy Scout. Anyways, that's going to, there's your stopper knot. And it's tied right up there at the end. So you're not really losing a whole lot of length on it that way. Tie this up good and tight. Okay, there's that. So now effectively you have your tether line already. Here's your tether line. Now this is the same exact process if you want to do your stand attachment. And honestly, this is thick enough now. I've never done 1/4 inch before. I've only done 3/16 and 1/8 stuff. But this is thick enough where you should, this should give you enough line here. Yeah, this should give you enough line easily to do all this. But this is thick enough. You could probably do this, make a smaller eye on the end if you're doing the stand attachment. This would be thick enough. You would probably not need the prussics and stuff. You could just do a standard rope mod this way with this stuff. But anyways, back to what we're doing. Task at hand. So I've got these guys, Hyper Tough. They're at Walmart. They're like $2 and something, $3 and something, $5. I don't know. They're cheap. Mini bungee cords. I'm gonna get one of those. This is just something I like to do. You don't have to do it. And I will cut the metal ends, all the metal. I'll cut the little metal ends off of these. Where it's just the bungee itself. And we're going to put that on the end of our line here to where you've got a way to tie it all up when you're done. When you're rolling it up, put it in your saddle or whatever. So we'll cut it down to just the bungee. And right behind the stopper knot, or right past the end of the stopper knot, you can use whatever you have at home. This is what I have. I have these little fids, so I'm going to take, you make a hole, you could use your arrow shaft that we've been using this whole time. It doesn't matter. Take these two, just tie you a little knot in the end of it. I'll show you guys here in a second. Let me get this knot tied. Like this. So it looks like this. Okay. And we're going to feed the loop in through that loop you just created in your line, through that splice. Okay. and just pull it up to the end. And then we're going to pull this down tight on it. And that's where this stuff's going to come in handy. We're going to take this, find the center of it. And I'm going to put mine just at the very end of the stopper knot, right? Come down a little past where you pass this through, and we're going to do almost like we're just going to do a wrap. We're going to take one line and wrap it. We're going to wrap it tight all the way back up. And all we're doing here is tying this bungee in. Like I said, you don't have to do this. So if this is something you're not planning on doing to yours, you can fast forward. I'm just going to tie this in like this so that my bungee doesn't come out. So all I'm doing is wrapping this up tight. And then I've got this loop that I left out here. I'm gonna push my line through that loop here in a second. So we're gonna pull our line through that loop, and then the other end of this line down here, we're gonna start to pull it, and that's gonna fish it inside the wrap. That's all we're doing. It's gonna fish that inside the wrap so far. Then we're gonna cut off the tail here. We'll burn that a little bit. We'll cut off the other tail end here on this end. Okay. And then you've got this bungee that's permanently attached to the end of your line. It's not going anywhere. It's clean looking. It'll be a lot cleaner when we cut the end of this off. Let's go ahead and do that. Because we've got our whole rope made, let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is take a little electrical tape and wrap the end of this so that it's easier to feed up into this heat shrink that I'm going to use. You could just use electrical tape if you wanted to. I would rather use the heat shrink. So I'm going to come down here to the end of this. I'm going to wrap it really tight. Just so, like I said, it's easier to fit in this heat shrink in a minute. And then right past the electrical tape, I'm going to cut with my scissors, just trim the end of the line off. Okay. Come over here. find a good, dropped one. Find a good size heat shrink that will fit over this. That one's not it. I haven't done 1/4 inch, so I may not have. Oh yeah, this will fit over it. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to electrical tape the hole in because I don't think my heat shrink is gonna get over it. I don't think I have any big enough. So it might once I get it taped down tight with this electrical tape. I don't know. Let's see in a second. So I've got it taped down really tight now with this electrical tape. Let's see if I can get my heat shrink in there now. I guess I really needed something a little bigger than these. This is just what I have. Okay. So make sure your heat shrink is big enough. Like I said, I was using what I had. It's not really quite as big as I wanted it to be. I'll get some bigger heat shrink here in a day or so and make this a little better, because I know deer see blue really good. Okay, so just for now, if I can get some black heat shrink to go over this, that's what we're gonna go with. That cleans that up. You got your little tail end here. You got a bungee to tie this all up with at the end. You got this really clean wrap that ties your bungee in. Now, the last step is we are going to make a prussic knot. We're going to make a continuous loop of Amsteel to tie a prussic knot with. I told you guys I'd show you this start to finish. This is part of it. Like I said, I know this is a long video and it sucks. I wish I could make it shorter, but I don't know how. I don't know any way to show you this in a shorter way. Let's see. That. Probably not. So we got our rope here. Throw that to the side. I'm going to cut off more than I know I need. Okay. So we're wanting to, let's see, double this up here. Let's make a, we're going to fluff up the spot here in the line. Take your feed straight through the center, okay? This is how you're going to make a continuous loop. There's other videos, if you'll just, there are videos of this online. If you'll just look up continuous loop of Amsteel, how to make it or whatever, you look up how to make a continuous loop of Amsteel online. There's other videos on that. probably better ones, and then this is, it'll show you exact measurements and all that. But so we're looking for, I don't know, a loop about like this. Let me see what we're going with here. We're looking for about 12-inch loop. 10 or 12-inch loop will be fine, either one. So we've passed one end through the line, right? Then we're going to come back through, fluff up just underneath where we passed it through. We're going to come back up, fluff up a spot on this side, run our fib through here. That's a hole. They tell you that you want to use a smaller line for your prussic than the rope itself, okay? You don't have to. You just have to add extra wraps in it just to make sure that it gets tight on the line. So I made mine out of a 3/16 line the first time. I made the prussics and the line itself out of a 3/16. I made it all out of the same rope. And instead of doing a standard, okay, so when you pass this one through this line, then you'll come back through and fluff up a spot in your tag end here behind it, and you'll pass the main line that you've already spliced through. You'll come up here and pass it through there, and you'll have this right here. You'll take your two ends, you'll pull them together really tight, making the lock brummel again. You're going to want to bury this too, just like before. We're going to bury about, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches maybe. So we're going to go through, pull 5 strands just like on the other. 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom. This should go a little faster than the line itself did because we're not burying nearly as much length. So we're going to pull out our 5 strands on each rope. So each tag end that you're burying, you'll pull 5 strands. Three. 4. One more at the bottom. Okay. We're going to cut those off. Now it's ready to be buried. So we're going to flip this up out of the way, fluff up the line, and our handy dandy fit here. Start feeding it straight down through the center just like before for the bury. Okay, here's a little, I don't want to call it a pro tip because I'm not a pro, but whatever you're burying, however much line you're going to bury, you want to come down about 1 inch or 2 past that, because it's going to draw up, and if you don't, you're going to have it sticking out the end and it's not going to look right, and it actually may not function properly. Okay, so we got that. Slide it up here. Bury our end. So we're going to feed this down into the arrow shaft. Remember, get as much as you can in there. We're going to take our tweezers that we use for a push rod. And you're just gonna milk this down and it'll pop up inside itself and disappear in there. Perfect. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing to this other end. We're gonna do the exact same thing to this other end. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna bury about, I don't know, 6, 7 inches, 8 inches, something like that. So I'm gonna cut this down just a little here, because it's a little longer than what I needed. We're gonna pull 5 strands, 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, 1 at the bottom. One there. Two. Cut all of these loose after you get them pulled out. And that's going to set us up for the berry on this side. And we're going to come right here on the loop itself, fluff it up really close to the splice, as close as you can get to the splice that you made, the lock Brumble. And we're going to feed this arrow right in the end of it. Remember, coming an inch or 2 down below the length of your line, because if you don't, it's going to be a pain. You're going to end up with line sticking out the side of the rope somewhere, and it's not going to look right. I'm going to just shove this down in the end of this arrow shaft. As far as we can get. Trying to hurry, so there we go. Tweezers out. Okay, once you milk it down, it disappears inside itself. I've got a couple of little loose strands right here. What I'm gonna do is just kind of melt those down so they don't pull or fray. I got one on this side. Okay, now there is your continuous loop. It's not coming undone. Perfect. Okay. Now what we want to do is tie this in a prussic knot around our actual tether line here. So you want to lay your loop out on the table, just like this. Lay your line across it, across the top. We're gonna run this in through here, pull this down. You'll have to work your loops so they don't twist up on you, but you're gonna pull that just like that. And you're gonna bring it under again, push it through the center again. Like I said, there's other videos online that'll show you probably better than this how to tie a prussic knot if this don't blow your skirt up. We're gonna keep going and wrap another one around. So a normal prussic, standard prussic, has 6 loops. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I found on my first tether line, if you're using the same diameter line for your prussic that you used for your main line, if your prussic is made out of the same exact material that your main tether line is, you're going to need to add an extra wrap, because that's the only way it's going to bite tight enough to hold your weight and to keep you, so if you fall or whatever, when you put all that pressure, it don't slowly slide down the line. Okay, so you'll have 8 altogether instead of just 6. But, and this will tighten up as we go. Let's go ahead, unwrap my other one here so I can steal the carabiner. Okay, there's your prussic tied on your main line. Put my carabiner on it, and now the camera set up right. Now you're ready to go. You got your prussic on here, and when this bites, so let's go ahead and work it up tight. Once you get this to bite, it'll hold really good. Let me see if I can get it set up here and bit down. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've got this tied around the leg on my mower. And I'm just tightening all that down so that it won't slide. So when you put your pressure on it, it'll hold you in the tree. And if you still can't get it tight enough that way, put another wrap in it. That will, the more wraps you put, the more this will hold, because it's a friction hitch. So if you put 8 in it, because you use 1/4 inch, and it's still not holding, throw another wrap in it, and it's not going anywhere. It'll bite. Goes up and down the line easy, and when it bites, I mean it bites. So now you've got. I tighten this all up really tight by hand. If you've got 3/16 line or something smaller to tie this out of, your prussic, you're not gonna have to put as many loops. That's a fact. But so I usually keep mine slid about the middle somewhere. I'll take my, this is how I roll it up. Take my prussic, just roll it up around here. And then I'll just wrap my line around my carabiner. And I'll take my handy dandy bungee that we put on here. Stretch it out around it. And then you've got your handy little tether line, your Amsteel tether line, all right there. And like I said, that's how you're gonna make it, guys. Honestly, this turned out really, really good. I like this. I think I like the 3/16 a little better myself. This 1/4 inch is just thicker than what I've been working with. It works good. Don't get me wrong. It's gonna be, and it's gonna be stronger. But you got your stopper knot tied in the end. You got your bungee. We've got our loop right here for the girth hitch around the tree. But I think for myself, size wise and how small it wraps up, I like the 3/16 a little better. I was weirded out by it at first, honestly, because it is a small line, and going from a big rope to this small Amsteel tether, I was kind of sketched out by it. But after hunting with it all season, that 3/16, I've kind of got used to it. I definitely trust it. I mean, this is still not really big. It's just bigger than what I'm used to. But, I mean, you still got your whole tether in the palm of your hand. That's all 1/4 inch tether. Anyways, that's how you make it, guys. Like I said, remember on your prussic, if you're using the same size line as the tether line, if you're using all 1/4 inch for it, the more wraps you put in that prussic, the tighter it will bite. And be safe. Like I said, make sure you practice this plenty at home. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks. I'll catch you in the next one.